Hi everyone, very good evening and welcome back to CrackGradeB. So in this particular lecture, it is a introductory chapter for the rural financial services, right? Yesterday we have seen that how the regional rural banks and rural cooperatives related setup is there. Although there is detailed topic for those two things as well, but we are going through by the syllabus and we are following the topics one by one. So now the next important topic that we have is NABARD and its role, right? What is the setup of NABARD and what is the role of it? So these are the things that we have to discuss one by one. So let us see this. We are going to discuss the whole setup of NABARD and in the end, at the end, we are also going to see the functions and the role of it, which are quite generic in nature, but yes, because it has been mentioned in the syllabus directly, so we are going to cover it. So first of all, we will see that in the Indian financial system, where does the NABARD sits? See, I hope this is visible to everyone. So we have these kind of sector-wise distribution in our Indian financial system. Number one, we have banking and finance, right? Number two, we have the capital or commodity market. Capital and commodity market or the banking and finance. Banks have a structure of their own, but apart from that, if I have to differentiate between the functions of RBI and SEBI, I'm not talking about the banking thing, right? Because that is having its own significance in the economy. But apart from that, there are two kinds of market called as money market and the capital market. Money market is the market for short-term funds. Okay, so banks or the financial institutions, whenever they want to have what you can say short-term access to the finance, they are going to see the money market. And who's the regulator for money market? So it is RBI. Okay, RBI money market की regulator है. And when we talk about capital market, so capital market, there are a lot of instruments. In common parlance, we say it as share market. ठीक है, हम इसको share market बोलते हैं when we talk about it in a normal language. But basically, not just the shares, share is one of the instruments that are traded in capital market. ठीक है, share सिर्फ एक ही instrument है जो capital market में trade किया जाता है. There are so many other instruments as well. For example, deposits होते हैं, debentures होते हैं, right? As well as derivatives are also there. So there are plethora of instruments in the capital market. So right? Yes, it is free crash course. So there are plethora of markets for your capital. There are plethora of instruments into your capital market. So this is what I wanted to explain you over here. Ki banking and finance mein, this is sector wise distribution. Banking and finance mein we have RBI as the regulator. Then in capital and commodity market we have SEBI as regulator. And in the insurance we have IRDAI, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority, as the regulator, right? So what is the purpose of regulator? Regulator's purpose the purpose is to see whether the financial system is working correctly or not. If there are gaps in the rules, then these kind of regulators, they bring out regulations as well. कि अगर कभी कोई गैप होता है, suppose acts and rules are not clear about something, or they have to bring the standards for anything something new, so what they are going to do, they bring out regulations. तो कभी भी आप देखो regulations are issued by these regulators only. Okay, and then your scheduled commercial banks, urban cooperative banks, small finance banks, they all come over here. NABARD, SIDBI, National Housing Bank, Exim Bank, right, as well as IFSCAs. So what are these? These are all India financial institutions, right? NABARD caters to cooperatives and regional rural banks. SIDBI, SFC and SIDC, housing finance, HFCs and housing corporations. So these are the institutions as well as how our whole financial system has been divided. ठीक है, किस तरीके से इसको divide किया गया है. Now moving ahead and talking about NABARD in particular. So first of all, what is the intention is to talk about NABARD in points format, right? In the pointers, how should we define the NABARD? Ki okay, kya cheez hai NABARD? That is definition part. And then we have to cover the functions as well as the role. So that is something that we are going to cover at a later part of this video. So NABARD origin, set up on 12th July 1982 as an apex institution. It has been set up for agriculture and for rural development by the Act of Parliament, right? So whenever any organization is being set up because there has been an Act of Parliament passed for it, so such organization is called as statutory organization, right? Such organization is called as statutory organization. Why? Because the origin of the organization has been through a statute. ठीक है, एक statute की वजह से origin हुआ है. Next is by taking over the functions of ACDs of RBIs and the ARDCs to facilitate the integrated development of rural areas. What are these organizations? So these setup was for the rural development, right? So these functions have been taken over by the NABARD. Early on there was RBI's ownership as well in the NABARD, but that is the case in history. Now, address needs for working capital as well as the investment related credit for both on farm and off farm activities in rural areas. Needs to be focused. So if you just see the what you can say full form of NABARD, it is having both agriculture as well as rural development in its name. So there is no compulsion that it is only going to focus on to the farm activities. It covers both farm as well as the non-farm activities. Next is, what is the mandate of this particular organization? So this is something that we get through vision and mission. So vision is for being a development bank of the nation, for fostering the rural prosperity or for the rural development, and the mission is to promote sustainable and equitable agriculture and the rural development through participative financial and non-financial interventions, innovations, technology and institutional development for securing the prosperity. So this is the intention over here. Now let's talk about the governance structure of the NABARD. So this is how the governance structure looks like, right? We are going to talk about this in detail as well. There is chairman, there are directors as an expert, directors from RBI, directors from Government of India, state governments directors, whole-time directors as well as the managing director. Now let us see this in detail. So under the provisions of your NABARD Act 1981, the board of directors, they shall comprise the following, right? So because it has been created by virtue of an act, so these kind of things have also been mentioned in the act only. Number one, a chairman come managing director who is assisted in his day-to-day working by chief general manager as well as a deputy general manager and other staff who are assigned specific roles in the head offices as well as the regional offices. So this is number one. Then two directors from amongst the expert in rural economy, rural development, handicrafts and other rural crafts, village cottage industries as well as small scale industries or in any other matter the special knowledge which is considered by the central government as useful for the NABARD, right? Then there needs to be three directors out of whom two directors with experience in the working of cooperative banks and one with the experience of in the working of cooperative banks. Three directors out of the directors of RBI. This is also an important thing. Three directors among the officials of central government. Two directors 2 directors from amongst the officials of state government, right? And then directors who are representing other than the RBI and the government of India. So this has been the whole setup of the NABARD, right? How there has been representation from RBI, there has been representation for cooperative banks as well, right? Those who have a knowledge in the cooperative banks. State governments related things are also represented over here, and after that, other than the RBI and the government of India, the other shareholders would also be represented through the directors. Now early on there was here what we are doing is we are representing all sorts of shareholders whosoever has what you can say invested in NABARD. So that means we are giving the representation to minority shareholders as well. Now what are the committees of the board? That means committees in NABARD. Executive committee is there, right? Sanctioning committee for the loans under the Rural Infrastructure Development Fund. We have already talked about RIDF, that is Rural Infrastructure Development Fund. इसके बारे में हम already बात कर चुके हैं. Audit committee is there. Risk Management Committee, Board of Supervision, Information and Technology Committee, HR subcommittee, as well as the premises committee. What are these committees? Do you have to go in detail about them? The answer is no. There is no requirement for going in detail. See, every organization, they have so much of human resources, as well as there are many people on the top ladder itself. So what happens is when you want to govern any particular organization, you have to divide it, you have to divide the top ladder in form of committees, so that every section of the organization can be governed within ease. So you will see for RIDF related loan sanctioning, there is a separate committee. Executives के लिए separate committee है, risk management के लिए separate committee है, and board of supervision also has a separate committee, right? Next is NABARD related subsidiaries. Let us see that as well. Okay. So we have now, these are the subsidiaries of the NABARD, right? NAB Cons, NAB Fins, NAB Kisan, NAB Samruddhi, NAB Ventures, NAB Foundation, as well as the NAB Sanrakshan, right? This is, now you see, NAB Cons is for providing the consultancy related services, right? So this is the work. NAB Fins is for providing the microfinance related services. Microfinance का मतलब क्या होता है? When small amount of loans are provided. Sometimes this usually happens to, this kind of microfinance is provided to such kind of people who generally cannot afford to provide the, what you can say, collateral, right? So that is why microfinance services related subsidiary is separate. Then we have supporting producers organization, supporting non-farm activities, right? Supporting agriculture startups. So NAB Ventures का मतलब क्या? This is related to venture capital funds, right? Venture capital funds में ऐसे होता है, money has been taken up from various sources, right? Obviously they are not going to use their own money. They are taking the money from various sources. That is what happens in the venture capital fund. And then they invest in budding startups, right? Then they invest those kinds of funds in the budding startups. So this is the intention. Next we have NAB Foundation, that is promotional and developmental activities. This is one thing. And NAB Sanrakshan is providing the guarantee for agriculture and the rural development loans. See, what happens is that the institutions, they generally, what you can say, find agriculture or rural development related loans risky. ठीक है. Generally financial institutions they find it risky. Why? Because many of the times the schemes like loan waivers they come into the picture. Apart from that, the poor people who are related to agriculture as well as the rural area, sometimes they do not have the capacity to pay, but at the end of the day you cannot deny the credit to them. ठीक है, आप उनको क्रेडिट देने से मना नहीं कर सकते, because if they are not going to develop, how you can assume your economy to develop for further, right? So this is what the intention is for of NAB Sanrakshan, providing the guarantee that okay, loan should be provided, and if something bad happens then we are here to cover the risk. Now, having discussed the basic snapshots of NABARD, that means what are the basic things about NABARD. Now we are going to discuss what are the functions of NABARD and what is its role. ठीक है, क्या इसके functions हैं और क्या इसके role हैं. So NABARD has decided a set of functions which is meant to be fulfilled in a certain period by financing and uplifting in industries. These functions of NABARD, it includes planning, organizing, as well as controlling the agricultural activities. Now, what are the functions? We are going to see one by one. Number one is providing services to the rural public by financing and investing in a small scale business that sells the local and handmade products in order to aim and gain profit and promote the heritage. You will see many rural development schemes, they have implementing agency as NABARD. ठीक है, बहुत सारी जो आपकी rural development related schemes आती हैं, if you see implementing agency in them, then it is going to be NABARD in most of the cases, right? So this is the intention of the NABARD, that local and handmade products should be what you can say promoted, so that the rural economy can be uplifted. See, you cannot uplift any particular economy until and unless you innovate something, right? You create production, you create demand. So that is something that the NABARD is focusing. It also formulates planned policies and activities to develop a strong base and capacity to finance several industries at one time and keeping a check on them by managing the records. So managing records, keeping the data is also one of the functions of NABARD, right? Next, see, providing training to employees for productive, smooth, disciplined and consistent services in investment and advice to beginner industries. So training to employees, so that advice can be provided, right? So training of human resources so that they can further train other industries, right? They can further provide constructive advices is also one of the functions. Next is establishing the coordination and connection among the banks to give credit flow to the states and central governments and RBI to maintain the transparency in policy formulations as well as the regulation. See what is happening, what we want to do is connection among the banks so that credit flow can be given to the state and central government and RBI can maintain the transparency. See, it acts as a link. How does it act as a link? State and central government, they have the policy responsibilities to implement the rural development related policies, right? RBI is the caretaker of finance. So NABARD acts in between so that the flow of funds remains crucial. Apart from that, you will see that there are subsidiaries of NABARD which provides the guarantee as well for these rural as well as the agri loans. So this is how NABARD acts as a linkage, right? Next thing is integrated rural development programs. Counts under a high priority project which is run by the government, which includes refinancing accounts for poverty mitigation by offering the highest share in support. So over here, refinancing the accounts. Basically what is happening over here is there are a lot of rural development projects which are on the topmost priority or topmost agenda. Now refinancing का मतलब क्या होता है, that they tell to the financial institutions that please go ahead and invest over here or provide the credit, and if suppose you are facing any sort of credit losses, then we are going to refinance you, है ना, हम आपको पैसे दे देंगे. For example, you might have seen under Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, what happens, Mudra is a refinancing agency. So it tells the banks as well as the financial institutions that please provide the credit for activities apart from agriculture. Agriculture is not covered over there, ठीक है, वहां पे agriculture cover नहीं होता. They Mudra refinances the loans related to what you can say trade, manufacturing, services, right? But agriculture is something which is not covered over there. Why? Because this is something which has been what you can say the major focus of NABARD, right? The support related to such kind of loans is provided through NABARD. Now it maintains links with self-help groups that aim to uplift the poor people's conditions and be an independent lifestyle. There is nothing to explain over here. NABARD runs a uniform inspection to ensure the welfare of rural areas as well as the farmers. Great. Now, Vikas Vahini is a program specially formulated for the development of farmers across rural region. Now, this is just an introduction. We have already covered all the what you can say schemes related to rural development. किस तरीके की schemes चल रही हैं, Deen Dayal Upadhyay National Rural Livelihood Mission, etc., etc. Few other schemes are also going to become as we will move forward. But इसीलिए I have not included the schemes over here because otherwise it would be like just double counting, right? We have already read the scheme and again repeating the same thing is not something I consider beneficial. So anything that has been left will be covered subsequently, but right now I have not covered the schemes over here. After running the several programs in rural areas, it conducts the studies, stops the downgoing points, and corrects them with a measure as well as the refinances the mission. So this is also the function. Now what is the role of NABARD? See, first of all, NABARD is an apex organization that monitors the rural area and it forms the cooperative banks to provide the credit flow at the lowest rates to support the poor population. Number one thing, the people who are generally neglected in the economy, those kind of people are served by the NABARD. Role of NABARD behind offering at low rates from RBI Finance Bank is to upgrade their financial problems. Number two, next is, it is also called as a refinancing organization that promotes those projects which generate employee and skill development programs in the rural sector, connects these projects to the self-help group. So self-help group and the bank linkage program that was started in the year 1992 was also something that was started under the NABARD's aegis, right? That is why it is called as a refinancing organization. It is being called as a refinancing organization because it promotes those kind of projects. It tells the banks and financial institutions that please provide loans for the employee and the skill development related projects. ठीक है, rural skill development related projects, they initiate, they promote the banks and financial institutions to give financing for it, and NABARD can refinance it. Also, NABARD offers low rates from RBI Finance Bank is to upgrade their financial problem. Now, another role of NABARD is to stay connected to RBI and the government authorities so that they can fulfill target allocated as per the specific period and they can benefit the rural public equally. Next is, NABARD has formed a special research center for the better techniques, strategies and the policies for the wholesome consistent elevation, and it regularly monitors and takes the corrective actions, right? So this is the role of NABARD. Now give me 1 minute and we will start the next topic for today. Yes. So the next topic that we have in hand is called as lead bank scheme, right? This is also has been mentioned in your syllabus directly and we are going to cover it. So let us see this. Professor D.R. Gadgil Study Group. See, the intention of this lead bank scheme was what? That when we are developing the area, what we need to do is we need to have an area approach. We are going to assign a particular bank with a responsibility for a particular area, right? They are going to what you can say, provide development plans for it, and this is how the scheme can take off. So this was the total intention under the lead bank scheme. Professor D.R. Gadgil, the study group, they recommended the adoption of area approach so that plans and programs for the development of an adequate banking and credit structure in the rural areas can be started. Now, under the chairmanship of Shri F.K.F. Nariman Committee, they endorsed the idea of area approach. They recommended that in order to enable the public sector bank to discharge their social responsibilities. See, social responsibility is there when you are operating uh, in any particular area or in any particular country, then you remain responsible towards the people of the country, right? You have to fulfill certain social responsibilities as well. You cannot just go on and make profit, right? You have to give something in return as well. So each bank, they should concentrate on certain districts where it should act as a lead bank. So the whole intention or the whole idea was one main bank and one specific area, right? So this was the whole idea. Pursuant to the above recommendations, the lead bank scheme, it was introduced by the RBI in December 1969. Okay, the scheme, it aimed at coordinating the activities of the bank and other developmental agencies through various fora in order to achieve the objective of enhance the flow of banking finance to the priority sector. We wanted that more and more finance should flow towards the priority sector to the areas where it is required. For example, agriculture, for example, rural development, and likewise. Coordinating the activities in the district, a particular bank is assigned a lead bank responsibility in the district. Now, what are the forums under the lead bank scheme? Let us see that as well. So these were at different level. For all of those to those who might not know, group of villages is called as block, right? So first of all, we are going to see this level see this at a block level, then we are going to see this at district level, right? So these are the level, this is how we are going to study it. So block level bankers committee, it is a forum for achieving the coordination between the credit institutions as well as field level development agencies at the block level. The forum prepares and reviews the implementation of block credit plans, and it also resolves the operational problem. The lead district manager of the district, he is the chairman of the block level bankers committee. Participation by district development manager of NABARD in the block level bankers committee, it is going to ensure better and more meaningful discussion. These kind of meetings, they are held at quarterly intervals, right? Next forum that we have is called as district consultative committee. This is the forum that we are talking about. See, the district consultative committee, it was constituted in early 70s so that there is a common forum for at a district level for the bankers as well as government agencies. Who are going to make the discussion over here? The bankers as well as the government agencies, so that coordination can be facilitated in implementing various developmental activities under the lead bank scheme. The district collector is the chairperson of the DCC meetings. So see what is happening in these kind of meetings. So they are bringing their plans together. They are collecting the data for their respective area, right? All the finance related data they are collecting, and then they are seeing that what they have planned and what actually the results that they have got. Okay? So plans or results के बीच का जो difference है, that is what they want to make up. Okay? So district rural self-employment training institutes, they should also be actively involved over here. and monitored at various forums of this lead district committee. Now these meetings should be held at quarterly interval. And finally, block level bankers committee, we have already seen this. Lead district manager of the district is the chairperson of block level bankers committee, right? Now participation by the district development manager of NABARD is crucial in your block level bankers committee. So this is another thing that is needed to be noticed. The lead district officer of the RBI, he selectively attends the block level bankers committee. So selectively, you see, for him it is, the option is selectively, but for the district development manager of NABARD it is compulsory. District consultative committees, they were constituted in the early 70s as a common forum at district level for bankers as well as for the government agencies, right? The district collector is obviously the chairman of your district consultative committees. We have already seen that. District consultative committee meetings should be convened by the lead banks at quarterly intervals. Quarterly intervals में these meetings should be conducted. Now what are the work under DCC agenda? We have seen the participants, we have seen the chairperson, right? So what you need to remember is chairperson, who all are the participants, for whom it is mandatory to attend, for whom it is not that much of mandatory to attend. Now what is the work under these consultative committees agenda, right? So this is something that we need to see. So review of progress under financial inclusion plan. Number 1, specific issues inhibiting and enabling IT-enabled financial inclusion. See, you are going to make a plan and then you are going to compare it with the actual thing, what you have achieved. So this is what financial inclusion means. Everybody in your area, they should be able to what you can say, have access, as well as they should be able to what you can say, operate those financial services, right? So this was the intention. Moving ahead and seeing the other purposes as well. Wait for a second. So yes, issues to facilitate the enablers and minimize the impeders. Monitoring initiatives for providing the credit plus activities by the banks and state governments, like setting up of financial literacy centers, right? Rural training institutes for providing the skills, scaling up financial literacy related efforts, reviewing of performance of banks under district credit plans, flow of credit to priority sector and weaker sections. So these are the things that they are going to see whether we are able to achieve it or not. ठीक है, हम achieve कर पा रहे हैं या फिर नहीं. Enhancing the farmers' income, assistance under government sponsored scheme, grant of educational loans, progress under self-help group and bank linkages, right? What is the progress over here? Timely submission of data by the banks. Review of relief measures like natural calamities wherever applicable. Now next is the new functions which are envisaged by the lead district managers. They include the following. What are the new functions? So monitoring the implementation of district credit plans, associate with the setting up of financial literacy centers, right? Associate with organizing financial literacy camps, then holding annual sensitization workshop for the banks as well as the government participation by the NGOs, arranging for quarterly awareness and feedback public meetings, grievance redressal, etc., etc. Right? District level review committee meetings. So this is also something that we need to see this. Now, these kind of review meetings should be convened by the lead banks at least once in the quarter. Who are going to be represented over here? Let us see. So, public representations, MPs, MLAs, Jilla Panchayat chiefs, they should invariably be invited in these meetings. Therefore, lead banks, they should also fix these review meetings with due regard to the convenience of the public. That is public representatives, for example MP, MLA, वो कब आ सकते हैं? As per that the meetings should be held. So this is it that is important over here, representation. Okay. Next is the forum may also have the representation of state minority commission, SC/ST corporations, as well as representatives of group of beneficiary. Forum may also consider inviting people with expertise in fields like progressive farmers, local industrialists as special invitees. The follow-up of district level review committee decisions needs to be discussed in the consultative committees, right? And the office of lead district manager, they shall be responsible for convening the meetings of district review committees. So in this particular scheme, the whole intention of the scheme is to have at different level the combination of public representatives, banks, right? What they are going to do by these committees. So at different level they are going to see that what we have planned, हमने क्या plan कर रखा है, and how it is progressing in future. If it is not progressing as per plan, then they are going to see where we are leaving behind, right? So review committee, this is something that they are going to discuss. Now let us see the state level bankers committee as well. So as a state level bankers committee, it is an apex level forum at the state level, right, where coordination of activities are happening are of financial institution, government departments in the state, union territories under the lead bank scheme. State level bankers committee, it was constituted in April 1977 as an apex institutional forum, so that there is an effective coordination among the institutions. It is chaired by the chairman, managing director of the convener bank. Also, there are representatives from commercial banks like small finance bank, right? Foreign banks, regional rural banks, payment banks, cooperative banks, RBI, NABARD, head of government departments, etc., etc. You see, the representation is so much wide. There is representation for National Commission for Scheduled Caste and Tribe, National Horticulture Board, Khadi and Village Industries Commission. So the representation is really wide, so that we have representation of government, we have representation of banks, we have the representation of social organizations as well, that what is going bad over here, ठीक है, क्या खराब जा रहा है. Next is representatives of various organizations of different sectors like retail, exporters, farmer unions as well. They are also represented. Meetings are held at a quarterly level, right? Who is responsible for convening these state level meetings? It would be convener bank of the state, whosoever has been given the responsibility, right? In cases where the managing director, chief executive officer of SLBC convener bank, if they are unable to attend the meeting, then regional director of the RBI, they shall co-chair the meetings along with chief minister, finance minister, senior level officers of the state or RBI. They may also be invited over here. So these are the things that we needed to discuss. Now one more thing is the agenda for SLBC meeting. This is kind of same, but we are going to see this very quickly. So this is what the state level bankers committee discussed. What is the status of banking outlets opening in unbanked villages as well as the rural centers? How business correspondents are operating? What is the progress in the digital modes of payment? Right? How much progress have been done? What is the status of rollout of direct benefit transfer? What is review of inclusion of financial inclusion in the school curriculum, financial literacy initiatives by the banks? Creating awareness about various schemes, subsidies, facilities, crop insurance, renewable energy as well, right? So these are the things that state level bankers committee will talk about. When coming on the credit related thing, what has been the achievement of the credit plan of the state, how the lending is being working, for example under Mudra Yojana, for example under Stand Up India, right? How the functions of how the credit flow is operating, flow of credit to MSMEs and affordable housing, Kisan credit card loans, crop insurance under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, progress under self-help group and the bank linkage program, right? How the progress have been over here, and discussion on market intelligence related issues, for example any Ponzi scheme, illegal activities being carried on, banking related cyber frauds, instances of what you can say illegal activities by the lending entities, right? So you will see that there is very what you can say problematic thing. Credit related frauds by the borrower groups, position of non-performing assets, as well as review of restructuring of loans in the natural calamity. So suppose if the state is being hit by any particular calamity, then this is something that they are going to review how we should be carrying it on. Efforts towards skill development, how the horticulture mission is being performing, National Skill Development Corporation, Agriculture Skill Council of India. So these are all the functions of state level bankers committee. There are two things that we covered today, NABARD as well as lead bank scheme. This is it under this particular lecture. I hope you would have found it useful. If you did, then please do not forget to like this video. Thank you so much.